Dum people, Scream 7 has hit. This is the new joint from Kevin Williamson. He directs, he also co-writes with Guy Busick, right? And yeah, the story is from Busick and James Vanderbilt. Okie dokie. The film is produced by Paul Neinstein, along with William Chirac, James Vanderbilt. I think that is it on the production side. Yeah, it is co-produced by Emily Cassary, right? Executive produced by Gary Barber, Matt Bettinelli-Olpin, Guy Busick, Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, Ben Fast, Tyler Gillett, Kathy Conrad, Marina Maddalena, Ben Ormond, Chris Stone, Chad Villiella, and Kevin Williamson. Marco Beltrami handled the score. Right, we've got Ramsey Nichol on cinematography. Jim Page edits the joint. Right, all the casting is thanks to Rich Delia. Right, production design, we have John Collins. We've got Kellen Houlihan and Nathan Cromwell on art direction. Set decoration is Lynn Mitchell. Costume design, right, Lee Levert. On hair and makeup, we have Nashi Angarano, Kea Cresswell, Amber Crow, Pamela Hall, Patrina John Bradshaw, Bill Johnson, Lauren Killip, Mark James Ross, Matthew Silva, Todd Watson, Melazai Anganaro Wheat, and Carol White. Right, we also got Michelle Andrea Adams, Jennifer Badger, Dania Bateman, Brandon Bonilia, John Copeman, Mark Durkis, Jess Durman, Bob Fisher, Jesse Fisher, Noah Bain Garrett, James Hutchinson III, Cyrus Lisey, Nadia Lawrence, David Brian Martin, Jeffrey Mayfield, Maisali McGraw, Brian Neal, Paul Andrew O'Connor, Hayden Porras, Delma Rayner, Katrina Riviera, Joshua Romaro, Austin Seifert, Dana Sodano, Nikki Stanley, and Evelyn O. Vaccaro. They took care of our stunts. Okie dokie. So, yes. Then we have our cast, right? So, Neve Campbell is back, right, as Sidney Prescott Evans. She is married to like, where is Mark Evans? For some reason not listed further up. Played by Joe McHale. Okie dokie. They then have got a daughter. Well, they've got 3 kids, but the one that we mainly see is Tatum, right, played by Isabel May. Right, we then have got her neighbor Jessica Bowden, right, played by Anna Camp. She's got a son called Lucas, played by Asa German, right? Who else? Okay, there's Madison, right? Played by McHale Randolph. Her boyfriend Scott, played by Jimmy Totoro. We have got Hannah Turman, right? A friend of Tatum's, played by McKenna Grace. There is Chloe Parker, another friend of Tatum, played by Celeste O'Connor. We've got Ben Brown, right? Tatum's boyfriend, played by Sam Rechner. Robbie Rivers, he's a television host, played by Mark Conselios. George Willis, played by Tim Simmons. Who else? Aaron, played by Kyle, I think, Winters, right? He's a classmate of Tatum's. Then there is obviously Courtney Cox is back as Gail Weathers, right? Then we have got Mason Gooding as Chad Meeks Martin, right? And his sister, right? His twin, Mindy Meeks Martin, played by Jasmine Savoy Brown. So yes, they are up in it. Who else? Have I missed anyone? Ethan Embry is Marco Davis, who works at the mental institution. We got Craig Dane, plays Carl Gibbs, right? A escapee from the mental asylum. Roger L. Jackson is back as the voice of Ghostface. Yeah, I think that's our main lot of people, right? And it's kind of, I think there's a lot of baggage on this film, right? A lot of baggage. It's kind of crazy. Like Scream 6 came out in 2023, right? It feels like it was more recent than that, but yeah. But, for whatever reason, that was a success. I think people dug it, right? And so they were talking about doing a follow-up, right? Now, Sidney didn't appear in those films because they didn't want to pay her the money, right? Didn't want to pay her the money. So there was all of this stuff going on. And then, they were going to do a new film. But shit got crazy, right? They sacked Melissa Barrera for things that she said. Okay, so Jenna Ortega wouldn't come back. I think partly because of Wednesday, partly for the Barrera sacking. So there's a lot of stuff that then got shifted. And it felt like they were desperate to get a new film out. So they decided, all right, we've got to pay Campbell her monies, right? But the big thing is, did they have a real story, right? That's the question. Because I think something like, this franchise, it's all on the... It's funny. I was having a conversation the other day with buddy, Daniel Bowers, right? And he was like, this franchise is all about the who did it rather than how and all the other things. And it's just like, yeah, that's kind of it, isn't it? Like, who's Ghostface, right? Why are they Ghostface, right? That's the big thing. And this film, when we finally get to that point, it doesn't really hit, right? Hey, they all feel a little bit of a stretch for me, right? But you can kind of, go, okay, all right, it makes a weird sense. This one felt like a mad reach, right? You're just like, okay, maybe if I squint and turn my head to the side, I might see it then. I don't know, right? We start off with this whole thing of two people going to a murder house, right? Oh gosh, who were those two at the front? It was... I can't quite remember, actually, to be honest with you. But we have these two at the very beginning. And as I said, they go to this murder house, and, it's like, I don't know, meant to be bizarre. Well, the guy's a horror fan, right? He really wants to go. He's convinced his girlfriend to come with him. So they've gone to this thing, and, it doesn't necessarily go well, right? Oh, I think it was Scott and Madison, right? Jimmy Totoro and Michelle Randolph. I think it was them, Oh, okay. So I think we did get like Sidney and Mark's other kids. Well, they're in a video with Mark's mum, right? And that's Rebecca Evans, played by Annabelle Tooney, and her sister Maggie Tooney, playing her sister Emma Evans, right? But yeah, so they go to this murder house, right? And so they're dead, right? We know what's gonna happen to them, but it all felt a little bit played out, right? Like, oh, there's a jump, but it's not real, right? The first few jumps aren't gonna be real, right? And then it's suddenly gonna be like, oh, no, this is, and then suddenly it's gonna kick, right? And that's what it is. But even from that beginning part, there's a bit where someone takes a mad fall, right? A mad fall from height, and just gets up and walks off. And there's a lot of that in the film, right? People getting hit in the head. Being hit in the head is nothing to just be like, oh, I'm fine, right? You hit someone in the right, you can kill them firstly, but you get concussions, people. But everyone's just getting smacked and then carrying on, right? And at the end of the film, there's just, a little cuts on the lip, right? One here, one on one person, one here on another person. That's kind of it. And it's just like, yo, you got fucked up, man. You got hit in the face a lot. You got hit just in general a lot. You should have bruising all over the shop. And they just don't, right? So it's hard to buy into any of this shit, right? Because now, with something like Game of Thrones, you didn't know who the fuck was going to live, who was going to die. And unless, I guess you've read the books. If you hadn't read the books, you were just like, they killed Robb Stark? what the fuck? You know what I mean? Right? And that's what the fun was, because it's just like, yo, anyone could be done. Right? But in this, that's what it should be. But you know, like when they don't develop a character, you know that character's dunzos, right? And that was the big thing. Plus, right, there's a bit in the film, we get this bit where at the beginning, Sidney goes to the coffee shop she owns. I mean, they own a lot of shit, right? A coffee shop, a pizza bar, right? All of this stuff. But they go to the coffee shop. We have this scene in the coffee shop that is pretty pointless, right? Oh, they do a reference back towards the end, but it just be like that whole scene just for that, really, right? And there's a lot of that kind of padding here, because oh, there's a creepy kid, but it's just like, obviously it's not going to be creepy kid, obviously it's not going to be that person, right? So there's a lot of stuff where you're not really building the character, but you're trying to create like a reason for people to go, oh, is it that? But it's like no one's buying it, right? You haven't embedded enough, right, empathy for anyone to sit with those characters and go, oh, nah, I'm with these people. Oh, it's not them. It's you've got a bit, and we've seen it in the trailer, right, of the safe house Sidney has created, because she's shook, and fair, right? But that's the one honest thing that we see in the film, right? Yeah, motherfucker, if you've been through some shit, you should be prepped, though, right? You say that, but not everyone is prepped, which is very odd. Right, because we see Sidney ready, but the Meeks Martin twins, not really. And when you've been through that shit, right, Gail, not really, right, which is bizarre. It's a bizarre thing. But so we have this safe house, all well and good. How the fuck are you not reinforcing the walls? Right, that when you see that bit on the trailer and they're going through, and you're just like, hold on, motherfucker uses a knife all the time. Why is everything not knife proof? Right, I would have been to all my kids, yeah, if you're leaving the house, you're wearing a stab jet vest. That's it, you're wearing a stab vest. Right? Or at least have them in the house. They should be in the go bags. They should, you know what I'm saying? There are just these things where you're just like, logically, anyone that's been through this shit would have this stuff. Right? They would have this stuff. And you would leave any rooms in groups. Right? That's a big one. You're not just going around on your J's, right? They're getting work done on their house, right? They're getting work done on their house, which then nullifies really any security system, right? When you can just get in easy via, right? And so we have certain things go down, and you're just like, wait, no one seems to be taking into account this and this, right? Police searchings of houses is terrible, obviously, right? It's just a film that kind of, it just feels like it drags. It feels like the story is this big stretch. And I don't think they created enough care, right? Enough depth for any of these new characters for us to care what the fuck happens to them. And that's a real shame, right? I think fans of the franchise may go along with it for the most part, but I don't think it's going to set them on fire, right? I don't think they're gonna be all jazzed about it, like, yo, this was fucking awesome. You know what I mean? And I think that's what you need to do if you want to build upon something like this. Because I saw the other day, right, it's saying that, you know, Stevenson and Campbell are coming up with ideas for a next installment. And I'm just like, you gotta make these things count, right? You've gotta make people care. And I'm not sure you've been able to do that with this. You know? Yeah, you're living off the whole final girl thing, which is all well and good, but we didn't see oh my days, her name has gone out my head, man. Ripley. That's it. Ripley in Aliens. She's not screaming every 5 seconds. You know? But she knows these aliens, yo, they'll hear the noise and they'll come fuck you up, right? But even if you don't have a big bad alien chasing you, screaming attracts people. So if you're running away from a killer, why are you screaming all the time? Right? At least try and put the hand over the mouth. Like, try like you are being serious. Can we do that? Can we do that? Right? And then if, like, people make so much noise and you're just like, well, you're telling me no one else in the house, no one else in the bar, no one else in the coffee, no one else in wherever scenario location heard that noise, right? There's so much noise going on and we're trying to say no one has heard that noise. It's kind of bonkers, people. It's kind of bonkers. But yes, big fans of the franchise may be able to go with most of this, right? They might go, okay, I'm not gonna overanalyze. I'm not gonna drill down into this shit. I'm just here for the ride, right? I think anyone that's kind of just dipping in and out, right? Not a big overall fan, but just like, yo, let me see what the commotion is about this thing. I'm not sure you're grabbing them, right? I'm not sure you're grabbing them, but to each their own, people, to each their own. Let me know, what are your thoughts, right? How did you find Scream 7?